Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of Healing Stars, and I'm just going to show you very briefly a Vedic chart or Indian chart or Jyotish. And what you can see here is an awful lot of information. But let's focus on the chart, and that's the top left here. And it's set for now Tuesday, 10th of September 2013. Now this is a template. The ascendant is marked AS, and as you can see it has a diagonal line in it, and that is your rising sign. The houses of the chart and the signs go, well, first of all, the houses go from the ascendant. So the ascendant is the first house. The second is next to it. Third, you go up, and it's clockwise. So the seventh house is opposite that ascendant. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. This is also a template with signs. The signs are always in the same place with this particular style of looking at a chart. And the top right is Gemini, the bottom right Virgo, the bottom left Sagittarius, and the top left Pisces. So the chart, the signs begin with Aries, and that is in this particular square. No matter what we're looking at, it will always be in that square. So that's Aries, and then Taurus and Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Now at the moment in the sky, what we see is there's Jupiter in the sign or the constellation, I emphasize constellation of Gemini. So if you looked in the sky tonight, that's what you'd see. Jupiter would be moving through that constellation. This is different from the signs in the west. In the west, the sign is Cancer. But this difference is because of the precession of the equinoxes, or the wobbling of the earth, like a spinning top on its axis. And once upon a time, the signs and the constellations were the same, but 2,000 years has gone by, and that's no longer true. So Jupiter, the great benefic it's known as, is at this time really good for anyone who has a connection with Gemini in their chart. So if you've got a planet in that particular place in your chart, that top right hand corner, then Jupiter is blessing it at the moment and making it bigger, expanding it. It's Ganesha, remover of all obstacles. Mars at the moment is in the sign of Cancer, where it's weak. And Mars, when it's weak, can act like a bully. But it's also maybe difficult because it's as a water sign, it's an emotional sign to get things done at this time. You might be feeling emotionally connected to take action, might be hesitating or doubting yourself. Again, depending on your chart. The Sun at the moment is strong. It's in the sign of Leo, its own sign. But 23 degrees, 56, it's just 6 days away from changing sign. It does roughly 1 degree per day, so I can easily work that out in my head. The next square, Virgo, is where Mercury is. Mercury is the communicator, the messenger, and it's exalted in the sign of Virgo, which means it's extremely good. So it's very, very positive for Virgos and for Geminis. It's their planet. Or if Gemini happens to be where your moon or your sun is or your ascendant is, it's also good for you. The same applies if your moon is in Virgo, your sun's in Virgo, or your ascendant is Virgo. Next along, this is the amazing combination of planets in Venus's sign of Libra. Saturn, SA, moved into Libra last October. It stays there for 2.5 years approximately, and it's exalted. It's really positive in this sign. So it's very good for relationships, especially commitment in relationships, being serious about your relationships. That doesn't mean to be heavy, it just means being responsible. responsibility for others, means the ability to respond to others. And Venus, as VE, Venus, because Venus is now in her own sign, just for a brief time until October the 2nd, Venus is promoting diplomacy, heart energy, relationships. Now Rahu is the north node of the moon, RA. It's underscored, that means it's retrograde. It always is retrograde. So it moves backwards through the zodiac. And opposite, up there in the sign of Aries, is Ketu, its opposite half. Rahu is all about desire. It's often ambitious, it can be obsession. But when it combines with Venus and Saturn, it creates what we call a MahaYoga. And this can bring positive results, depending on the intention, always. Saturn likes to be of service. That's how we negotiate with Saturn, so to speak. The moon is just there temporarily for a couple of days each month. Scorpio, there's no planet at the moment in Scorpio. There is Pluto over here in Sagittarius, but that is a Western planet, but I do use it, and it will stay there for about 13 years. So it's very important in Western astrology, but not all Vedic astrologers use it. Quite a few do nowadays, though. There's no planet at the moment in Capricorn, and Neptune, NE, as you can see, is in the sign at this time of Aquarius. Again, it's a Western planet, it's an outer planet, but I do use it. And then up the top there in Pisces is Uranus. Again, if I'm interpreting Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, I'll use Western astrology, but I still put them in because they're still important. Ketu has no head in the story. Ketu is connected, along with Rahu, with eclipses, and they'll be coming up in November. But briefly, that's the signs, and that's where the planets are. Now, for you, where does this lovely conglomeration, this stellium actually, it's a stellium of Saturn, Venus and Rahu, where is it occurring? It all depends on your ascendant. If your ascendant is Aries, which would mean you have a diagonal line at the top here, top left, second along, then you've got, one thing for a start, you've got Ketu going through your first house, which can be very difficult, can feel lost at that time. It's a very psychic energy also. You might feel invisible, people aren't seeing you. But with Saturn and Venus and Rahu in your 7th, your relationships are crucial for you at this time. And they could you could well attract, if you're not already in a relationship, a serious committed relationship through 3 weeks. It's not a long time, but to be aware of that. If your ascendant is Taurus, then this Saturn, Venus, Rahu is going through your 6th house. Now that is to do with your health, it is to do with healing. It's also to do with competition, and it's also to do with purity, cleansing, all the kind of 6th house qualities. So it could be a very good time for clearing things out for you. And also Saturn through your 6th house actually sometimes could be very good going through the 6th. It could give you the ability to focus and have discipline regarding your health at this time. So to be aware of that now. Gemini is an extremely good ascendant at this time because Jupiter is in the 1st house and Saturn, Venus and Rahu are in the 5th. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is promoting love. It's promoting love affairs. It's past life good karma, the 5th house. Extremely good. And it's also to do with mantras and fun, pleasure, joy in life. So a very positive time, not to forget that. The other thing to know is that Jupiter is also aspecting Saturn now and Rahu. It hasn't been able to do this up until June 2013, till July next year. So that is helping ease a lot of the negativity that otherwise could be associated with Saturn. If your rising sign is Cancer, this is your 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I always count the first house as the first. So Cancer is here, first, second, third, fourth. This is your the area of the fourth house is your home. It's also happiness. It's to do with your mother as well. So this is an extremely good time to beautify Venus, your home, to decorate, to bring flowers in if you don't already, but to appreciate your home, to value your home. Saturn is also to do in the fourth house with vehicles as well, so it'd be a very good time to buy a car if you're thinking of changing cars at this time. For Leo, at the moment you do have the Sun in your first house, but this Saturn, Venus and Rahu conjunction is in your third. Third is all about talent. It's also to do with courage and initiative. Saturn can block that. But Venus is helping in some way, helping relationships for you. And it is a planet to do, Saturn governs your seventh house of relationship. So relationships have to be of concern to you. The third house is also to do with things like acting, music, performing, it is a communication house. And the courage might be failing you at this time because of Saturn's energy. But Venus will ameliorate that. So take a risk, is my advice. Just go for it. And the Sun, because you've got the Sun in your first house at the moment, is very positive. So use this little window, 6 days. For Virgo, the second house of the Vedic chart is to do with early family life, but that will only apply obviously if you're very, very young. I would presume you're not if you're watching this. But it is also speech. So having Venus in the house to do with speech and Mercury in your first house also to do with communication, it's an excellent time to ask for what you want, because Venus is desire. Saturn means commitment to that. And Saturn governs your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th house to do with love as well. So this is a very good time for Virgo at the moment. The Libra Ascendant, well, you've got this humdinger of constellations in your first house. Now, Saturn in your first house always is a feeling of growing up, being more professional. Saturn is about professionalism, people taking you seriously. And Libra is an extremely good ascendant to have. You're very lucky if you have it, because Saturn governs both 4th and 5th houses of your chart, which are both positive houses. So Saturn exalted in your first house means people will respect you. And with Venus there, you're shining at the moment. You're vibrating at a very positive level. Venus is your chart ruler in your first house. Look out, world. It is. If you're a retiring violet, this is not the time to be that. Now, for Scorpio, this is all happening in the 12th house. It's one behind. Okay, remember it's a clock, so it's one behind. The 12th house is a place of retreat. It's a place of going within. Saturn in the 12th house isn't necessarily bad, but it can take you on pilgrimages, long distance, of course, they would be, but also it is a time of reckoning. You know, Saturn is to do with the karmic planet, our actions, growing older. But Venus is lightening that at this time, lightening that load. And giving a blessing, because Jupiter is also, remember, blessing your 12th house. Now, Venus does govern for Scorpio the 7th house to do with relationships, partners, business partners, and one-to-one partners. It's all the 7th house. So having Venus in her own sign, she's also in the 12th house, and Saturn's there too, and Rahu eclipses. This could indicate difficulties in one-to-one relationships. However, Venus is in her own sign. So there can be blessings. It depends entirely on your own chart as to how this, in the end, affects you. This is just a brief summary. For Sagittarius, wow, this is happening in your 11th house. And the 11th house of the chart is to do with friends, to do with groups, and also to do with income. Unearned, it says unearned income in the text, but income. And Venus governs your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th house of health, healing. So this could be also indicating you're finding, you're working, or you're associating with people who maybe are healers. Rahu creates desire. So there's also, Venus is to do with money. There could be a lot of income coming to you at this time, a boost in your income. And having Mercury in your 10th house of career is also excellent for you. So make hay while the sun shines. That good old phrase. For a Capricorn, now Capricorn, 7th, 8th, 9th, this is in your 10th house. So Capricorn, your planet is Saturn. Having Saturn for 2.5 years in your 10th house exalted is excellent for you. Having Venus there at this moment also bodes extremely well, because Venus is your 5th house ruler. So this is an extremely short period, albeit, but Saturn stays there and you've got Jupiter's blessing. This is, if you're not self-employed, go for a raise, ask for more money, get that promotion, push yourself. You've got Mars in your 7th at the moment. That could create tension, so don't push too hard, but you can go for it if you want to. Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is also governed by Saturn. And this, 7th, 8th, 9th, the 9th house and the 5th house are the two best places of the chart. And the 9th house is higher education, higher learning. It's Jupiter's natural house. So it's got a vision about it. It's a place of dharma, or purpose, and teaching, maybe learning as well. You might well want to upgrade your talents, your portfolio of skills, and business as well. Saturn is very much to do with trade, business, in Venus's sign of Libra. Libra is trade, rather shall I say. So this is extremely good if you do involved in trading. Commerce, which is all about balance. If you think of the scales, that's what Libra is about. So again, very, very positive for you. Plus you've got Jupiter going through your 5th house of love. So pretty good. The Pisces energy. Now for Pisces is a water sign. It's always emotional, okay? And Mercury is good at the moment because it's in your 7th house of relationship. But Saturn entering your 8th house, the 8th is a difficult house to explain, really. It's metaphysics, it's longevity. Saturn's good there. It delays death, to put it bluntly. But it's also metaphysics, astrology, any sort of in-depth research. Saturn's very good for research for you at this time. Venus, you could well love a research project, something to get your teeth into in the next few weeks. But albeit, this isn't the best, one of the best houses, but it's one of depth, and it's to do with moksha as well, enlightenment. Those are the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th houses of the chart. That's their purpose, is enlightenment. So this could well take you on a path at this time of moving deeper into your soul, psychology, for instance. And then coming back, I started where I began, Aries, 7th house. So that's in brief through the houses. The one other thing to look at in this chart is this will give you all the information of the planetary cycles throughout your life. And these are very important. The other little key, just to pick up briefly, this little map is very interesting. Notice it's exactly the same as the main chart, but it gives points. These are known as bindis. So each house, each sign, because each house is a sign, has a certain number of points. In this particular chart, set for now, notice 19 is low. Anything below 24 is low. But you see this Leo energy is very, very strong at the moment, 37. But that will change throughout the day because it depends on the ascendant. This is also, bottom right, it's called Shadbal. That gives you the strength of each planet. Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. They're in the order of days of the week. That's how you can see them. And you can also see the colour. Mars is red. Tuesday is Mars Day. So anything under 100 is weak, but there's only the moon slightly under at this time. But that will give you a little brief overview. I know it looks complicated, but I hope you've enjoyed this little tour, albeit, as I said, briefly, around the Vedic chart. So thank you for watching. My name's Pam Carruthers, healingstars.com.